Hey guys, aside from being a US paper money collector and a US coin collector, I'm also passionate about collecting Mexican coins. So I wanted to share my collection with you. Let's first start out with the 3 copper coins I have. We have a standard 20 centavos, a 50 centavos. I really enjoy these because of the size. One of my favorite coins in general is this quarter reales from 1862 from the Zacatecas mint. And this is also, this is becoming a more and more popular coin because of this cherub. And this is a particularly very good example because of the clarity of the cherub. Let's look at some gold coins here. Can't focus, what's wrong? Here we go. We have the 2 peso, a 5 peso, the very popular Aztec calendar on a 20 peso. Favorite. We have a 8 escudos. This is a 1819 Ferdinand VII. Another favorite of mine, this being the Book of Law, 8 escudos from 1856. Here we have someone writing in a book of law with a cap on the pen. The cap is a Phrygian cap. It's a symbol of freedom. We have a 50 peso, 1.2 troy ounces of gold, so a fairly heavy coin. All right, here we have a Libertad from 2014. You see all the various Mexican state seals on the back. This is also a favorite of mine. This is a 1957 medal celebrating the Mexican Constitution. You can see the high relief on the uppers here. And on the back is inside of the Mexican Congress. At one point this was a top pop medal, but now I know there's at least one MS-68 floating around. Let's move to some Mexican silver coins. I'm gonna pull up these un pesos. So on the left we have a 1932 peso, on the right a 1961 peso. So to demonstrate the watering down or the impact of inflation, the coin on the left had 0.29 troy ounces of silver. The one on the right had 0.05 troy ounces of silver. We have a 1968 25 peso. So again, impact of inflation. We go from 1 peso to 25 peso. Going back in time, we have a classic cap and raise. This one from 1895. One of my favorite bullion stacking coins, a onza. This one from 1980. Here we have, this is a pocket piece of mine because of the milk spotting, This is a 2016 Libertad, the silver equivalent. And then we have a generic round here. This is, I like this coin because of the Aztec calendar. Not Mexican, but from Panama, Latin America. This is a Balboa, a proof Balboa from 1968. And I enjoy the detailing of the reverse on this. All right, let's look at a few of these slab coins. This is the increasingly popular 1914 2 peso from Guerrero. This got back to me from grading recently. Unfortunately, came back with a cleaned details grade, but I do not mind. These coins are notorious for having worn centers. So the face of the sun and the volcano steam with the sun rays generally are worn out. This shows good detailing of that strike or of that design. A 1985 Libertad, a precursor to this one, but I fell in love with the toning of this coin. This has a lot of blues and reds, magentas. Not Mexican, but 1842, what is now known as Guatemala. This was at the time called the Central American Republic, and this is a 8 reales coin. Back from grading recently, got the clean details grade or comment, but I'm fine with that because like the 2 peso coin I just showed you, these coins are notorious for having worn out details in the center of this coin. This one you could at least see the face of the sun with its rays and the slopes of the mountains, and then on the back you have a beautiful tree with its leaves. Great details. Wonderful coin. Let's look at some Capital Plastics hoardered coins. This being 10 pesos. These are all in 0.9 silver fineness. I'm going to show the 5 pesos. And I want to point out, in terms of fineness, we start out 1947-48 with 0.9 fineness of silver. Just 2 to 3 years later, when we moved to this Southeastern Railroad's 5 peso coin, which is very popular for collectors now, the fineness drops down to, where are we at to? Drops down to 0.72. And all sequential coins are 0.72 fineness. A direct effect of inflation. All right, let's move to some slab coins. First, and one of my favorite coins is the Spanish dollar, also known as pieces of 8 or the pillar dollar. This example coming from 1954, and this is a great example because it has great luster and is essentially blast white. Traditionally, or these are very common coins that you find with a lot of tarnish or corrosion. This one graded straight. There is some striations you can see going from bottom left to upper right, and you can see it on the back. I don't know if that's from minting, striking the coins, but it didn't, there's no comments on the slab, so I assume it's part of the minting process. Plus ultra, you can see that on the pillars. That was a Spanish Empire slogan that means further beyond. One of my favorite coins. Next we have a 1808 8 reales Ferdinand VII, and this received a details, more specifically sea salvaged. You can see the surfaces of the coin are corroded. So allegedly this was sitting at the bottom of a sea or ocean. I would assume from a shipwreck, and maybe they didn't put details of a shipwreck on the holder because they couldn't attribute it to a specific shipwreck. If anyone actually has any more information on that, please leave a comment. But I've always been interested in picking up specific attributed shipwreck coins, but the premiums for those coins are quite high. So I was able to get this at a great collections auction for pennies on the dollar. Quite pleased with that coin. Next, we have the famed hook neck eagle. This one from the Mexico City Mint, 1824. These are becoming, or are popular, but these are becoming more challenging to find. Notice the font used on the Phrygian cap. It's in cursive. And notice the eagle. They call this the profile eagle, or full breast profile eagle. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not the full. This is the full breast, not the profile. So the difference between this and the eagle that we commonly know, you could see that the one on the left shows more of its breast. Great coin, one of my favorites. Next, we have a 1859 8 reales. You notice the difference with the strike on this one. This received a PL designation, or proof-like. These are very difficult to find. I spent many a year looking for this. I'll get into numbers later, but let's just say that less than 1% of all these coins that have been slabbed by NGC and PCGS have received the designation of PL, and they have slabbed tens of thousands of these coins. We have a 1866 Maximilian Peso. Maximilian was the last emperor and maybe the only emperor of Mexico. His reign did not last long, so they only minted this coin for 1 year. And there is a gold equivalent, a 20 peso gold coin, and those are even more challenging and even more expensive to find. We have the 1872 peso, the balanza, the balance coin. And we have a restrike of a cap and raise. This is, it's labeled 1898, but these were restruck in 1949. It's actually an interesting story. So these were actually struck at, I've read anywhere from Philly to San Francisco. I've read the San Francisco coins actually were all remelted, but nonetheless, all these coins came from US mint sites, and they were used to pay off soldiers fighting communists on behalf of the Chinese national government. So this would be a vestige of World War II and the Cold War between the US and the Soviets. It's also nice to see an example with white color and with good details, because most of these cap and raise are found dirty and worn. So it's nice to see an example of how it originally looked before they circulated. Last two coins in the collection, we have the very popular Gabalito. This is a peso from 1910. These were minted from 1910 and 1914. Of course, the 1914 is very desirable, very rare. These 1910s, these were the second most abundant behind the 1913s. I'm looking for a better example. You could tell the strike on this one is not particularly sharp. And the spotting on this is, it looks nice, but I would rather see more interesting toning or whiter surface. But one of the classics of Mexican silver coins. And now the final coin. This is the creme de la creme of my collection of Mexican coins. This is the 1914 peso from the Durango Mint. And this is the famous, here, let me find it here. You could read it, the Muera, Huerta, or kill Huerta, Victor Huerta. He was a president of Mexico, and more importantly, he was a dictator of Mexico, so he was not very well received. If the rumor was anyone found with these coins on their being would be sentenced to murder, or I'm sorry, to death. This particular variation, the KM620, is also called the 6 stars. You can see the 6 stars there in the Un Peso 1914 on 2 lines versus 1 line for the other 2 varieties. This is by far the more rare of the 3 varieties. Let me pull up some numbers here, and I want to actually pull up the other 2 coins I spoke about to give context to rarity of some of these Mexican coins. So to finish with this peso, the 2 major third-party graders, they have slabbed 408 total coins. So my data is at least 6 months old when I did my research. So numbers are obviously going to be a little bit higher now, but there's 408 total Muera Huerta coins. And out of the 3 varieties, this is the 6 stars, and there's only 20 of these. PL designation of a cap and ray, there's 29,000 of these slabbed between PCGS and NGC, and there's only 205 of these that have received the PL designation. So that's about 0.7%, so less than 1%. And then in terms of the hook neck, I mentioned this is the full breast variety. There's a profile variety, there's a full breast variety. There's 440 total hook necks. 305 are the full breast. And 1824 there's 200 of them slabbed. So this represents the most abundant of all the hook necks. But still, only 440 total. 205 total, and then 20 total, or 405 total of Muera, Huerta. So interesting context of in terms of scarcity or rarity of Mexican coinage. That's not why I collect Mexican coins, but it is interesting to compare what we define as rare or scarce for US coinage versus Mexican coinage, and then US paper money. Anyway, I wanted to share with you my Mexican coin collection. I appreciate you watching. Leave a comment and have a good one.